Footsteps meet on hardwood floors, laughter spilling from the doors. Different tongues but hearts the same, learning life beyond the name. At the International English Cafe, talk your troubles right away, sip your tea and stories play. At the International English Cafe.
Click. Okay, so welcome to the meeting, everybody. I am your host, Thanh, and it is Friday where I'm in the world, the Western Hemisphere, although it is Saturday morning in the Eastern Hemisphere. So this is the International English Cafe. Today's topic is a speaking practice interview. So what we're going to do is we'll have interview questions and use this as with the intention to help practice English while at the same time practice a little bit of interviewing skills. So we'll see how this goes. I provided a link to, in a sense, 65 common interview questions, which also provides tips so that members have questions plus like tips as to how to answer those questions. So with the recording going, is everybody ready? Anybody have any questions? Okay, so what I'm gonna do with this is, has everybody gotten a chance to review any of the questions? And if so, is there a question that you like and would like to answer? Ideally, the first few questions are the easier questions. They tend to be about asking who you are and certain type of attributes about yourself. So what are your strengths and weaknesses, things like that, and possible skill sets, things that you may bring to the table. As you keep on going along, they tend to then start to ask about other things like certain behavioral questions, certain type of questions with your foresight in terms of your career development. So what would you like to do in the near term, midterm, and long term? It may ask about like certain expectations that you may have for the company, things like that. So as you continue along, the questions seemingly get a little bit tougher and tougher. But usually that's kind of how most interviews go, right? They allow you to talk about yourself and certain attributes about yourself, and then start to get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty. Okay, so IU, you raised your hand, so would you like to go?
Yes, I'm choose the question number 9. What are your weaknesses? How to cope this question if the company or the interviewer asks you about your weakness, which is you try to avoid they will ask your weakness that because you really need this job.
Okay, so one of the things when you're preparing for interviews is you want to kind of have a running theme overall, right? And when it comes to this question, you want to align it with your running theme. So what is the running theme that you want to portray? So let's say, for example, my running theme is that I am a very detail-oriented person, right? So one of my strengths would be my analytical skills. My weakness, I would say, would be something in terms of like communication, right? Because I'm so detail-oriented that like I'm a little bit more into my own world, that like when it comes to conveying my ideas, that might be the weakness, right? So I would talk about that, but then I would talk about it in a way where one, I would recognize that it is a weakness, but also two, that like I do have certain things in play to help me improve upon this weakness, because I recognize that this is a weakness. So this will show that at least one, I recognize the weakness, and two, I have a plan to be able to account for this weakness. This could be something that the potential company that I may be applying for, or if it's an internal posting that I'm applying for, this could be like where by taking on this position, then I have the opportunity to gain experience in this type of skill set that I'm currently sort of weak in, but then like I can be able to do something about it, or that there's things outside that I'm doing to be able to account for this weakness so that it doesn't affect the quality of my performance if I was to take on this position. So say like you're going to school for it, or you're participating in certain organizations and other type of events or type of venues and things where you can improve upon it. So one thing could be like, I currently am fixing my communication weakness by attending Toastmaster meetings, right? Toastmaster being a public speaking organization. So there's things out there where you could, talk about your weakness, but also talk about how you're going to improve upon it. So they realize that you have growth potential. But then also it also helps to tie back to like whatever your main theme is, right? So one of the things is you might not recognize what your main theme is until you answer enough of these questions. So kind of like if you went through like this list of questions I provided you and like go like maybe every 4 or 5 questions and try to answer it, and then start to see like, okay, like here's your possible answer. And then from it, if you kind of see a running theme, so it's like you constantly mention this one particular thing as your strength, like your leadership skills, your ability to work in a team, right? Your ability to communicate and be able to retain customers, things like that. So overall, you want to focus on certain things that where you have something that you can lend your skills and abilities to the company to help them make money, so that by them making money, you make money.
So what is your recommend if this comes to your, the company want to know about your weaknesses, and then the other side you want to cover this weakness become stronger. So you're stronger. So what is your recommend? Do we say that I am a perfect, or do we be
No,
honest
ever.
to this company?
Don't ever say that you're perfect, because if you say that you're perfect and they find out you're not, that's false advertising.
Yeah.
Then they won't believe you in the future. They will then talk about you to other companies and not recommend you because you basically lied, right? You do want to be truthful, but at the same time, you want to show that you're doing something about it. We're only human. We can never be perfect. So we're going to have some sort of weakness. The thing here is, one, do you even recognize your own weakness? And two, are you doing something about it? If you're not doing something about it, I highly suggest you find something to do about it. So if you have a weakness right now and you're not doing anything about it, then make a plan. make a plan to figure out what you can do to improve upon yourself. Actually, this is kind of interesting because we're just taking an interview question and then asking for like ways to answer it. Actually, this might be a good idea if we talk about it this way. I mean, you can use it as a way to practice answering the question if you yourself if you want.
Yeah.
This is
I think
also nice too.
yeah, that because the question about the weaknesses is kind of like you must practice how to answer it because this is what is you little bit worry inside that because the interviewer will ask you about your weakness, which is you doesn't want to everybody know about your weakness because you need a job. So that's why how to answer this, how to cope this answer this question, I mean, so it become like what is very intense to the your company like probably the company will give you opportunity to get what is education on these weaknesses become your stronger, so I don't know.
Like there are some people where, or there are some approaches to this question where there are kind of generic weaknesses that people would talk about, and then they would use that as their weakness. And it would be a weakness where like people would find it understandable that you have it as a weakness. This is stuff that you could Google. I don't remember what the current generic ones are because I feel like they do rotate those things around. Like, for example, you do not want to say that teamwork is your weakness because then it means that you don't work well with others, which means it's hard for you to be part of an organization, especially a company, right? So you wouldn't want to say something like that. You may want to say something about like, well, a lot of people, at least from my time period, use like communication. But then we'll talk about like how you would want to improve upon your communication skills. So usually that's one of those like nice go-tos. I don't remember what other weaknesses are, but some people try to do this more of a humble brag type of thing. It's like, oh, one of my weaknesses is like my own narcissism because I think I'm the best at everything and I just need to learn how to humble myself. And I'm like, I mean, I feel like it's a joke answer, but I feel like some people do honestly say things like that. I suggest don't do that, or at least don't say that one. But there are certain things where some people do use as like, instead of like your weakness is your strength, and that you should calm down on it because it might be very overbearing. Go ahead, PT.
Yeah, in my opinion, in this case,
Mhm.
when they ask about our weakness, I think they don't concentrate on the weakness. The main reason, the main aim when they ask this question, because they want how much we can honest with them, how much we can handle this question, and what we can handle my or address or fit my weakness or something like that. I think is the main aim for them. It's not, they don't care about how is weakness or it's bad or not bad. I think it's not necessary. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. But I think this is a good first question to kind of talk about because I feel like a lot of people do worry about this kind of question. Um, it seems like a question that some people feel a little bit flustered when they come upon this question because most people might not be prepared for it. But knowing it at advance, you can use this as a way to help prepare yourself and also use it as a way to learn something about yourself. So yeah, this is a good first question to talk about. Anybody else? Any thoughts on either this question or other questions?
But like,
Yep, go ahead.
okay, thank you. Happily, we saw my opinion about the interview, and I think I have solid points after the interview. I think first of all that we should have the humbleness from ourselves and always to answer correctly to every question, right? We don't answer from the route, and that might for interviewer misunderstand and don't understand from their question, and because the interviewer they would like to have correct answer in the question, and head up they would see how the candidate can show their problem much better than you talk a lot, because they look for the people who can see for themselves or general after the department or the combination of not only themselves but maybe teamwork in the team. I think that significantly, candidate can answer simply how the interviewer they kind of is highly appreciate correct answer. And look like if we answer ourselves and kind of okay, we try to advertise ourselves. Okay, I have deeply experienced this industry, that industry, but we didn't show any just shows just show the problem. I think that shouldn't be. And we just show what we have experienced we did before, and what we get the successfully before, and how many companies we get to fail as well, because we would like to be honest to that story. We don't too much advertisement to the interviewer, because that one up agnosticness a lot for ourselves, and that interviewer they don't want to hear that. They want to hear only numbers from candidate. Yes, and I would like to the man mentioned that how we can improve our communication skill within the interview with the interviewer. That I think that the mainly tool to get success within interview. Yeah, that's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Well, based on what you're saying, I guess it depends really, because you're talking about what the expectation of the interview may be, but not all interviewers will have the same expectation because of either one, the kind of company that you're working in, or two, this is just the personality of that particular interviewer. So they might be looking for a particular thing. The only way to know is like looking at kind of the questions that they would, or based on the questions that they're asking you, then you can start to gauge slowly throughout the interview what they might be looking for. Although if you do your research ahead and can find information ahead of time, that does help out a lot. So you can make your preparations. Okay, it looks like in the chat box, how can we answer politely when the interviewer asks about how much salary do we expect from this office? So I think this is it depends on which region of the world that you're in, because I do understand that some region of the world may ask you this type of question. There, in terms of the US, this might also come up too, let alone in other regions of the world. One of the things I would say is you should do your research ahead of time for about how much this particular job position would pay. And based off of that, then you may have like an idea in your head, like a ballpark of how much you would expect. But it should also align with what is the going salary within your region for that position, right? Like, for example, I want to be a sales rep, but I want to be paid $1 billion an hour. Obviously, that is absurd because you can't have a position like that. That's impossible, or almost impossible, basically, right? So you don't want to say something like that, right? You actually want to do your due diligence, research how much whatever the job position that you're applying for pays, right, in your area. So let's say like you want to be an accountant, right? So let's say that you want to be like a senior accountant and it pays about maybe like 80K or 100K if you have certain credentials, whatever like that, a year, right? But then like if you go to like say Europe, then like it's I don't know how many euros, right? But like it would be a different amount of euros, and that even if you do the conversion, it's technically like 120K in dollars, but in euros it would be something different. Like who knows, right? Because maybe they have higher standard of living. Then your salary would go up, right? But then like it would be because you're living in a different area. So figure out what the salary is in that area that you're going to apply for that position, right? And then you can talk to it. Otherwise, when it comes to salary expectation questions, if you don't know, then you don't know, and that's it. But I would suggest you do the research because one, you don't want the company to gyp you on how much they pay you, right? Because if you don't know, and they can just pay you like the very bare minimum when you should have been making more. So you do want to fight for a good salary, but at the same time, you don't want to say too much, which is why based on your research, you would know what would be considered too much. Does that help? But I think that's actually a good question to delve into. I don't know if this is in this, but it sounds like it was. Oh yeah, what are your salary expectations? Question 45. Okay, yeah. So that is a good question to bring up. Nice. People still looking at the list of questions to see what kind of questions they would. What do you mean by due diligence? So your due diligence is kind of like you're putting the effort, like your own efforts that you're putting into this. I think this is one of those phrases that I tend to say a lot. So it's it's all the research, all the investigations, all the efforts that you put in order to do the work for either, in this case, finding the answers to certain things, or being aware of some things, or the efforts towards whatever work that you're trying to produce and or to achieve. It's not necessarily the exact definition, but more or less to that effect. I feel like I'm going to clip that for the IG because I do know that Hidayah likes to have clips for IG where like it talks about certain vocabulary. So I think this would be one of those vocabulary sessions.
Then I would like to ask you if the company or interviewer already offer your salary, but you want to kind like negotiate with the other things, how to say it to the interviewers because you want to get a little bit high salary and then or the other benefits like allowance.
This may depend on what you do in the interview, because when you talk to the interviewer, try to pay attention to some of the things that they're talking about. This is one of those things where kind of like imagine like you're taking a test, and that when you're answering the test, the answers, like the questions themselves, are very hard, but the way they phrase the question kind of like helps you to answer the question, right? So have that kind of mentality, right? Like your ability to take the test. So in this case, your ability to interview, you taking notice and observing how your interviewer is asking you questions. At the same time, you should be asking them questions too, showing like interest in the company that you're applying for. Ideally, you would be researching ahead of time what this company is about, and it would lead you to certain questions like what are their do they provide, say, compensation for additional schooling, as in like would they provide you an educational stipend, right, to help pay for your schooling, say like if you want to do like a master's, right, or if you're, say, like an actuary and you have to take your actuary exams, or other things like that, then ideally your company could pay for you, right? There could be other things where does your company have certain inbuilt company training for certain skill sets and for certain knowledge that may be applicable to your job, so that you can at least level up, right? Because whatever you learn in school might not be completely applicable. Like what your company may have a particular standard way that they do things, so then you would need to go through their training specifically to do it, right? So there's going to be lots of things like that. But going back to the salary part, when talking to them, there may be subtle hints or clues as to the kind of budget that they have. So maybe they might not have a lot of budget, so there's no negotiation at all. Or maybe their budget is a little bit loose, where you could potentially be able to ask for more because they do have a little bit of extra money, and that you could negotiate for it. The tough part is being able to listen for that and knowing how to kind of poke and prod at them a particular way to get them to subtly talk about it, so that you could then talk about the negotiation. But a lot of times, ideally with the interview, that would the negotiation stuff would be like with HR and or the salary folks, not necessarily your hiring manager, because your hiring manager may talk more about the work and they don't know anything about your salary. Or at least this is how it's like in the US. I'm not really sure if other parts of the world where it's the same idea, but they do tend to separate like what your operational manager would know about in terms of your salary. A lot of times they don't even know what your salary is.
Yeah, yeah, that because I bring up this question that because you know that the company always kind of like have a tricky or strategy how to take a lot of benefit from this a new employer with the small salary they can spend it. And yeah, of course that they, yeah, of course that the employer will try to get a strategy as well to cope this situation,
Well,
negotiation.
this is why, like, part of what you would do before the interview is researching how much the salary is for that position in that area. Like, so what is the low end for the strategy or for the salary? What is the high end for the salary, and what's the average, right? You want to know at least what those salaries are, and then you would be able to speak to it. So then you would gauge in yourself and think about, like, I've had about 5 years experience in this, and you know, ideally, if you have 5 years of experience, then you should be making this much. I should not be like making the low end because that's like quote unquote entry level for that position, right? So you would gauge yourself as like somewhere in the middle, or what is considered the average, and then at least negotiate for that. If you feel like there's other things, other attributes that may make you look better, for example, if you have a higher education, like a master's or a PhD, if you completed certain exams that certifies you for some of those skill sets or positions, like things like that, then that can bump up your salary, and you can negotiate for the higher salary because of that. But you would have to use something to justify why to bump up your salary, not because you need it, but because you deserve it, because of these credentials.
Yeah, disrupt it.
And then the main part is to negotiate so that they don't cheat you out of it, really. This is what you really deserve because you went through this many years of schooling, you got this type of degree, you got this type of certification, you passed all these exams, things like that. So that they don't give you the low end of the deal, and that you could at least get the average. If you are on the high end of the deal, then you have to prove why. Ideally, though, if you're going on the high end of the deal, you might as well go for a position that's even higher. At that point, there would be no need for you to apply for whatever position that you're going for. You'd want to go for the position that's the next one up at that point.
Yeah.
So, like, for
Yeah,
example, like there's like entry, like let's say like accountant, right? You have an entry level accountant, senior level, lead, and then like manager level, right? So let's say you're like a senior accountant, but you're too good. You might as well go one level up and be the lead accountant instead of a senior, right?
Yeah, if they mention about the budget for the salary, they can spend to you, and then you try to negotiate it with the other things, which is like a benefit for the employer, like get an opportunity, what is a scholarship from this company. It's possible as well, and the other side's kind of like probably your house is a bit far from this company, and then they will cover all the transport costs from your side. So I think that's kind of like negotiation that you can do if they just already mentioned about they just have a budget for you like this.
Yeah. Like I had a friend that lived in California and applied for a company in Florida, or sorry, lived in California, applied for a company in Florida. So they paid for his moving expense and all that stuff for him to come over. So yeah, that was part of the deal for the compensation. So sure. On top of that, there was a significant sign-on bonus as well. Oh,
Well, You have a good
Some people have turned on their cameras, Kasuko. So
아,
you
네.
may see PC, some people on and off.
아, I was surprised. Hi, it's been a long time.
Good
So I
morning.
understood. Good morning. It's my lunchtime. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I understood the long time. That's why I thought this meeting started around 12, but I lost 1 hour. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Wait, like 12. So right now it's noon over there, right? Or is it 1 o'clock?
Yes.
I think,
Now maybe near Japan is 12.
oh,
Our lunchtime.
it's noon in Japan right now, right? Okay, got it. It's because of daylight savings. So right now there's daylight savings. So I think it's what 11 I forget the hours difference. But then like once there's no daylight savings, then it would be like 1 o'clock Japan time, and then this is like right now 11 p.m. US time. But
Yes, maybe.
But yeah, it's just due to the daylight saving. So yeah, that's just the confusion of timing. But welcome, long time no see. Going through
Yes.
interview questions, and looks like one of the focus right now is salary.
Really?
Well, like, so it's question 45, which is what are your salary expectations? So there's a lot of questions on that, and I'm kind of like going through them. So, but these are good questions to talk about because I think there are a lot of confusion that people may have.
Okay, could I have a question?
Well, like there's the list of questions that's in the link, which is what I provided. I mean, I did also copy out the list of questions into the chat box. Ideally, what it is just pick a question that you want to kind of talk to, and then just.
Okay, I'm sorry because my personal question. Because I would like clarify, how I can answer to the question that I would be to express this meeting, because I think about that, but I don't know how I can answer. This also linked into a candidate who would like to have higher than standard their salary in budget. But I assume that they can agree from candidate requirement higher than 5% or 10% or 15% or 20% higher than their budget. But they get back the candidate question and the commitment. They can be acceptable higher, and they can provide your expectation. But I get back a question. They ask that I would like to improve more than 20% efficiency, and do you dare to make that happen after 6 months?
So,
and if you confident yourself, okay, I can buy higher than the standard of company, and how can I can answer?
okay, so when it comes to reiterate again about the whole salary thing, right? One thing is a lot of times the person that you're negotiating with isn't the person that you're interviewing with, because a lot of like times that the person you're interviewing with is like in operations. So they will talk about the work, but not necessarily your salary, because they have no, they don't even talk about your salary. Oh, okay. Take care, PT. So a lot of times it may be the HR people that you would negotiate salary with, right? So that's one. Two, I did mention earlier that you need to do your research about like what the typical salary would be for that position in your area, right? So let me just do like say like a kind of a off example, right? So like let's say like the position is an accountant, right? Let's say at entry level it's like 70,000 a year. At like if you are someone like that has like 2 to 3 years of experience, maybe they might say like, oh, 80, 85, right? Let's say if it's like a senior level accountant, then like maybe 90 to 100 grand or even higher, right? And then if you had taken certain exams and or gotten like masters and things like that, they might up that even higher, right? So depending on like what you've done and things like that, let's say you have all of that. So ideally you should deserve 120 grand, right? Then you could negotiate that like, oh, you deserve this because you've done this, and this. And if they don't pay you that, then you just go to the next company. And especially too, if you interviewed for the other company and said like, hey, they're going to pay me this, what are you offering me, right? So now it's this negotiating game. This is like playing business or playing politics with these companies to try to get them to pay you more, right? You also might try to notice when talking to them about how aware of the amount of budget that they have. Because if they don't have so much budget, then it doesn't matter how much you negotiate because they can only pay you this much and they can't go any higher. Versus a different company might have a much more loose budget and then they could actually pay you more, right? So this is stuff that you need to pay attention to while during the whole interviewing process. So being able to know how to ask certain key questions to get them to talk about certain things. A lot of times there's not going to be standard questions to ask, right? This is just how well do you pay attention to them? And then based on how they act and behave, then you can see how to navigate and how to ask them questions. This will be more of an experience-based thing rather than like these are standard steps to do, because there's not really a standard step to asking people questions. Like a lot of times it's just the opportunity that comes. So maybe somebody, maybe one of the interviewers kind of like had a Freudian slip of some sort, and then you can use that to your advantage, right? So it's going to be something where like there's no foolproof method of how to do it. Just this, you have to just interview a lot, pay attention, be able to notice things, and just know how to talk to them. The question, are you planning to have? Yeah, it is so especially in Asia too, that would be one of those questions. Are you planning to have children? It is a very unfair question because that would be something that may hinder women, especially when you're in East Asian areas, because they would want you to be productive. And if you're not there to work because you're away for pregnancy, they may just give your job away to somebody else. So that lack of job security is very brutal. It may mean that like that might not be the company for you. But if all companies like that are like that, then it's a very tough position to be in. And you know, you'll have to do your best to know how to navigate that. Sometimes you could just be like, well, I don't know, or I'm not ready, or if you do know, maybe that might be too personal for you to answer, and then you can't say. But it does create an unfairness because they may pick someone over you just because, you know, when somebody like when you may have children, but then the other candidate might not. And especially if the candidate is male, then it is totally unfair, right? Especially if the job is unisex.
Yeah, that
There,
is an unfair from my side. Yeah, that because when we are looking a job, it's mean that we never talk about the gender will be decide this is your it will become your employee or not, or you will accept as an employee or not. That because they will see about your gender side. So I think
one of the things to at
you know
least
that I just know. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So one thing to at least kind of be fair for the company side of things is, let's say you're going to have children the moment you get hired,
Mhm.
and obviously that's a little bit wrong, right? But let's say that if you're planning to have children like 2 years from now, then all of a sudden 2 years from now they fire you because you're going to have children. That's where it's messed up.
So I'm sorry, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, disturbing you. So I have a question to you. So do you, your country, so do you have right to maternity leave? Maternity leave?
Yes. Oh, we have a maternity leave. Even the husband also have to for accompany his wife when they got what is a birth, yeah, birth a child,
Mhm.
after birth child, and then the husband has also what is a matern I don't know how to say that
Maternity.
for accompany, yeah, for accompany his wife.
Well, how long? 1 year?
For the husband is just only 1 week, and then for a wife 3 months.
Just only 3 months.
Paternity, okay, paternity,
So
yes,
I
3
think
months.
children is very important, the country's future.
Mhm.
So especially Japan, the amount of newborn baby, the number is declining. That's why. So our company and government back up us. But
Yeah,
normally in Japan, the interviewer, when I get a job, those kind of question avoid them because it's very negative
Mhm.
question. That's why.
Yeah.
What about Indonesia? It's normal. They ask
Uh,
you those kind of
they will.
maternity plan.
Okay. For the interviewer, I'm not quite sure that because it's been a long time. I'm not apply a new job or something
Mm.
like that. And then, from my assumption, they already announced someone about the vacation, which is when they the some requirement for this when you apply the job. Yeah. So the requirement is kind of like how old are you? I mean, they will accept it that the employer 24 maximum their age, and then the woman with not married yet, and yeah, something like that. So this is kind of like they already appear when they announce someone to open the vacancy to all. So we know already. Oh, okay. If the woman want to apply this job, it means that your age, you must consider your age is above from 24. So, and then you are not married yet, so you are single. So that's why the interviewer will not question you having a planning of having a children anymore. Mhm.
I've also seen that in job descriptions in certain areas of Asia where they will ask specifically, how old are you? Are you single? Are you female specifically? And no, not like LGBT type, but like actually biological, right? They'll ask for your picture specifically too, and just even based off of that, like they may reject you just by how you look. But it like I like I understand the discrimination, but I understand why, right? Because like certain positions does require a look, which is kind of weird, right? For example, like if you're going to be a model, then obviously you're looking for a look. In some of these cases, the position might be not necessarily a model, but a model-esque type job, like airline stewardess. Like, you know, they want a particular appearance for their company. Whether it's right or wrong, like, well, that's the business practices over there, so I can't really comment to that. But I kind of get why, right? The discrimination does sound a little bit wrong, especially when it comes to allowing for people to have children, just because they will think more cold-heartedly about like, well, the business comes first. If you're not going to be around, then I don't need you. I'll just replace you. And that will be their mentality. If I don't know how often that happens at this point, but it does seem like there is four or at least hindsight of those type of perspectives, at least. So those are things that women do think about. Should they? Like, maybe not, but it does make it very wary in terms of the job security.
What about America?
In America, like, you have paternity leave, and it will be illegal for them to do anything, because they would have their pantsuit off at that point. But that's America. So even for here, we have paternity leave. It would be like a month or more, depending on like the company that you're at. But yeah, I think that's also a some good stuff to think about, because this wouldn't be necessarily an American thing, but I could understand, like, if you're in other parts of the world, these could be things to worry about for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely not one of the questions in the list, but it's something worth mentioning for sure. Like, you do want to have an expectation for what the company can provide for you. So those are type of things that you want to be aware of, right? Essentially, I think I mentioned it earlier, for most interview questions, we'll delve into like things about yourself and your attributes, certain things about your expectation, things where you get to talk about your experiences and how you combine them with your behaviors within the company, things like that. And then towards the end, they might have like a little bit more tougher questions, either like brain teasers or questions that make you think, right? And then that's kind of the overall gist of most interviews, right? So that they have an idea of what you're about. At the same time, this is opportunities for you to ask them questions. So ideally, you would want to do research ahead of time of what usually the going salary would be, and especially what you would be making if you were to be paid, right? Based on like the industry average lows and highs, things like that. You want to research about the company to make sure like you have an understanding, but also it helps you to be able to come up with questions so you can ask them. Maybe there's certain things that you're not clear about. Like, for example, like one of their cultural pillars could be change championship. What does change championship mean? And then you can get them to talk about it, right? One, to see like how well do they even know their own cultural pillars, but also two, like based off what they're saying, do you feel that this might be a good fit culturally in terms of a company culture wise, like that you want to be a part of, right? Like the way they handle questions like that may maybe you want to reject them instead of them rejecting you, right? You don't want to just pick a company where like you got the job and that's it, because they could screw you over while you're at the job, even if they pay you more, right? So you want to do what's best for you, something that provides you a good work-life balance. At the same time, like they're not screwing you over salary, and they're providing you other type of benefits in terms of your career development, especially, so that you can grow within the company and maybe even use more of that to help the company further itself. Because, you know, the more you help the company make money, you get to make more money. Or at least ideally, that's the kind of idea to have, right? If they're going to screw you over, then maybe that's not the company for you to be in, and then you want to get out there.
Yeah.
So Tom, I have a question.
Go ahead.
In American company, how calculate their overtime work?
Overtime,
They pay it.
so it depends on your categorization of hourly versus salary. So if you're salary, there is no overtime.
Oh, really? No overtime?
No. If you're salary, there's no, like, if there's no overtime, it's just basically here's your pay, and that's what you're paid, right? Versus like if you're hourly, right? That means like, let's say you work 40 hours, then you know that's normal standard working hours, right? Let's say you work 48 hours, then that means, well, you went 40 hours, which is the standard, and then 8 hours more, which is the overtime, right? So they would take the 8 hours and multiply it by 1.5. So it would be the equivalent of as if you worked 12 hours, or you're being paid for working 12 hours, but you only worked 8. So that's kind of like how the math would go, right? So it would take whatever you worked for that was 40 hours times, and then plus 8 times 1.5, and then that's your overtime pay.
So it means that it's depend on the company that you apply.
It doesn't depend on the company. It depends on the position. Because, for example, if you're an office worker, ideally that's salary. There's not an overtime, right? Versus like, let's say if you're working on the shop floor of like an inventory or in supply management, where like you're literally out there, you're like a blue collar worker. A lot of times those type of jobs are hourly. So you worked 50 hours, then 40 hours, and then the 10 hours will be overtime, right? So it would be 1.5 times that 10 hours.
Yeah.
So if we did the math, right? Let's say you work, let's say you get paid $20 an hour, right? So
But I think one job, there is one job, but 3 person they get the same job, but A, B, C, A can down maybe 5 hours, but B he
More
spent,
than
yes, 10 hours, but C is 7 hours. Overtime is A is 0, B is 5, C is 2 hours.
yeah, like
Then
so
what happens?
so that's
Company
not how,
pay to them.
that's not how. So it's 40 hours a week. That's your standard, right? So anything
Yes.
40 will be overtime. So in your example, none of them will get overtime at all, because that's not even enough hours.
So if American style is American company don't pay them
like
the overtime.
So in your example, they would not pay overtime at all because it didn't even get close to 40 hours. Because like it's the idea of like 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So that's 40 hours, right? So that's your standard. Hi, Veronica, by the way. So anything beyond those 40 hours would be overtime. So let's do an example calculation. Like let's say $20 an hour is your pay, right? So let's say you worked 50 hours in that 1 week. So that means 40 times 20, right, would be $800, right? and then you take those 10 hours times 1.5, which is 15 times 20 is about 300, right? So
Yes.
that overtime pay is an extra $300. So 800 plus 300 is 1100 or 1100. So your base pay is the 800, but then your overtime was another extra 300. So that's kind of how that would work.
So, but sometimes, so Japanese style, Japanese employees stay as overtime, but I can't believe why they spend so much time. I
And
can
I
finish.
Well,
Yes, please.
but then that's because this is where it's different, right? Because this is assuming hourly pay, right? But if it's an American office worker, let's say the American office worker stayed in the office for 80 hours, he was still paid for 40. Because it's not even considering it as per hour of how many hours he worked. It's like, this is the set amount that he's going to get per year. And then when you divide it out, this is like, okay, then each week will be this much. And it will be exactly that much. It's never going to change. The only way it changes if that type of job has other compensations like commission, where like you get a percentage of whatever you had sold if you were in a job where you're paid commission on top. And commission would be a little bit of a different story. So commission would be an example, like let's say you're a car salesman, right? So your base pay would be whatever amount. But then if you sold a car, then you get commission. So like you get like a percentage of the sale of that car.
Can I?
Go ahead. Yep.
It's an interesting discussion about the extra works.
Yep.
In my place, Kasuko, there will not paid about the extra work for the employer. That because the manager not want to the employer have extra work, but the employer do this that because kind like they not they not enough with the ability to finish the job with with the standard time, so when you said that ABC, it means that it's not fair enough when B get extra extra money, that because the B finish the kind of that same job with the take a long time, and then more than the standard time, of more than office hours. So it's mean that like be doing extra hours on that kind of job. And then for my side, that is not fair. That because you know that if you have a same job A B C, and then it's kind of like probably the manager will see that A already done with the 5 hours, and then the completely finish, and then the manager will see that B and C cannot finish with the standard hours from their office. So it means that the manager will take A to be a promote
Yes, of course,
another
of course. Yes.
another position, with the level, with the high level from used to. So something like that. And then in my office also, Kasuko, there is no extra hours except the manager asks to you to work in beyond of the office hours. So it's mean that you will get extra money from the extra salary.
Yes.
So that's kind of like how I said, for Americans, you have salary, right? So with salary workers, it doesn't matter if you worked more or not, you're still paid the same regardless, because it will be the example that IU mentioned, right? Like the work would be like for this many hours. Even if you worked more than that, that means you were not efficient enough, right? You should have like if it took 5 hours to do a particular thing and you took more time to do it, but you're still going to be paid for 5 hours because it's supposed to be paid. It's supposed to be 5 hours of work only, right? So that's kind of like what the salary idea would be. Versus like if you're hourly, it's a different story because you're doing things that you're going to be paid by the hour. Like if you're a construction worker, if you're doing lots of hands-on work, more specifically, then
Yeah.
you know that's not to determine how long it takes. Well, you can't just say like, oh, that's 5 hours of work, because sometimes it may take more, right? And then you
Yeah.
have to be there longer. So that's a differentiation of what hourly versus salary means. So some work will be salary and there won't be any overtime part for it. Your additional compensation would be in other forms like bonuses, commission, things like that. Versus hourly, there would be overtime, right? And then you could apply overtime to it after you meet whatever the threshold would be. So for the US, it's 40 hours. So anything outside more than 40 hours, you would have to be paid more. On top of that, too, there's holiday pay. So let's say you're working during
Holiday.
like during a time where like it's holiday, like so especially for the US, like from Christmas to New Year's, some companies may consider that whole week as holiday, right? But then you're working on that time. So instead of being paid 1.5 times, you could be paid double or triple.
Yes, it's always double. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's even that too.
So sometimes I consider what is that, and it's old Japanese style employees. But recently our company was changing. That's why I'm not sure in the future what happened.
Yeah. Because how they denote what your work categorization is, whether you're hourly or salary, if you have commission or not, if you have bonuses or not, how are you eligible for bonuses if you get bonuses, right? There's lots of things of like how you're compensated. And this is not even like, then obviously there's benefits afterwards, but that's a different story. But yeah, there's lots of things to tie in terms of your compensation.
So I have a question to you, all of you. If I appeal them, the interviewer, what is the most important thing? Negotiate or qualification or image, my image?
Well,
what skill is the most important things? What do you think?
It depends on whatever your job is that you're applying for and whatever they're looking for. So sometimes you're not going to be able to know what that is until you interact with the interviewer enough, kind of get some subtle hints and clues about how that interview is like. It does help at least to research the company, that you have an idea of what you're getting yourself into. Like, what is their company culture, for example? Their cultural pillars. What do they value? What is their mission statement, their objectives, their mission? Like, there would be the About Me page that talks about all that. And if it doesn't talk about that, I would be a little bit suspicious of that company, because that company might not be that well thought out, right? You want to know like how long this company has been around, because the longer the company has survived, then they may have a particular reputation, and for them to survive so long, mean that they're doing something right for them to stay afloat. Especially like, let's say if it's a company for 100 years, then definitely they did something right to stay around. That's like 5 generations of, or 5 to 6 generations of how old that company may be. It went through that, at least that many CEOs, if not more so. And it's still going. So then like they have some sort of a good thing going on there. So there's something about them that you can trust, that you have a sense of reliability. And at the same time, your customers or whoever you would be servicing or selling your products to, they would find this company reliable too. So you would know that there's a nice influx of revenue coming in, which means that revenue will eventually be in your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's depend on the job that you apply as well. Yeah, if you can like apply job like a marketing or customer, it means that the appear from your side it will be very important thing. So they will intense with your appear.
Yes.
So I think we focused a lot about salary, but I think this is one of the more interesting parts of so in terms of from my experience here in the US, your salary negotiation tends to be a little bit separate from the interview because, like said, whoever you're interviewing with tends to be more on the operational side. And a lot of times they don't know what your salary is. The people that would decide your salary stuff would be that human resource or the HR people. So then you would negotiate with them and things like that. It does help, at least when you're talking to them, that you might have an idea. Like sometimes talking to them, they might have like I mentioned before, Freudian slips. So they might inadvertently talk about how there's not as much budget, which would mean that it's going to be difficult for you to negotiate if they don't have a budget. But if it seems like for some reason like they're talking in such a way where like they have all the money in the world, you might want to really consider when it comes to negotiating for a higher salary, and especially talk a lot about your achievements and things that you've done that technically would increase your salary, like any certifications you've done, any tests that you've taken, degrees, all that stuff, right? Years of experience. Like obviously you should not be paid the same as somebody that has 0 years of experience, right? You like, let's say you had 10 years of experience, you should be paid for that, at least to be compensated for that much.
Yeah, when we talk about the budget, then from my perspective, if you cannot negotiate your salary, more than I mean, it's not from your expectation that you got a salary from this company. Of course, that like I mentioned before, maybe we can negotiate with another compensation like allowance or benefit for the employer, or you can create that new kind like probably you want to get opportunity scholarship from this company, which is the company will pay you like your study. If you want to get a master or PhD, so the company will give you a scholarship, and then but the salary will cannot what is like your expectation. So you just give us, you can like what is have just only standard salary from them. So you cannot negotiate it about the salary, but you can negotiate it about another things from this company, like like allowance or kind of like a benefit the others. So yeah, at least that you know that this company is still worth for you to to get this what is to improve with this company. I mean, so you become as employer there, and then the company will take care of your study, something like that.
I do want to provide one caveat, is because like so for most of us that have been talking about this question so far, I'm assuming that like most people asking and talking about this already have like several years of experience, right? So obviously we have a lot more of a bargaining chip to negotiate. So since I have the call recorded, right? So for those that are listening on the YouTube, just know that this is under the assumption that you have like a bargaining chip to help you negotiate for your salary. If you have 0 years of experience, sometimes you may need to settle with whatever they're giving you, just so that you can gain experience. Sometimes you might need to pay with time to gain that experience, so that after however many years of experience, then you can have more of a bargaining chip to jump around to a different company for better pay, jump to a higher internal position for better pay, or anything of that sort. But you need to work to get that bargaining chip first. One other thing I would say too is if you want to study for a master's, ideally it would be better if you had work experience first, a little bit, and then study for your master's. I would suggest not trying to study for your master's right after your bachelor's. Sometimes for your master's, some of the things that they would have you do for the assignments would be talking to what your current work experiences are. So if you don't have work experience, you're literally trying to make something up, which it might not sound right when you're doing some of those assignments. But if you have work experience already, you're able to then use what you're learning in your master's program and then being able to apply it to what you've seen at work. So you can make some of the correlations with the theoretical and the actual, right? So it lends itself to a little bit more of a better work towards your education that way. But also too, it helps because sometimes your company can help to compensate for you. So why pay for yourself for your master's if you could work for a company that could essentially maybe help compensate for you, right? So that's basically what you were mentioning earlier, because like sometimes if you can't negotiate for a higher pay, then negotiate in other realms for other forms of compensation. That's a good idea.
This is I said that because according to my experience before, when I just graduate from high school, I would like to have a job, kind of a job, that because I know that we cannot just only study about the theory on our university, which is we don't have any experience how to implement your theory on in reality on the other with the in the company or organization. So instead of just only study at the university, you can apply that your theory into the company or organization. So I'm lucky that because I got this opportunity after I graduate. I study while I'm also working at one of organization. So I'm be a content there, and then in the same time I am also have a study at university as a accountant. I took a major accountant at university, and then I also has a position accountant as well in my office. So it's kind of learning by doing. You can compare what you have as your study, and then and in reality what kind of the case that you can face on this company.
Okay. Last question, maybe. Which
Ask
leads
away.
to this? I sent you a better job, college or graduate school. Normally in Japan, so after graduated high school, we join college. College is 4 years. And after graduated college, we join, some people join graduate school 2 year.
Yeah. So the graduate school, that's the master's program, but essentially that's what I was talking to. So after college or university, this is kind of like where I said, ideally, it would be better if you went to work first and then try to study for your master's, because one, you have work experience that then when it comes to some of your assignment in your master's program, then you could talk to it, because some of those assignments may ask like things regarding to your work experience. So if you don't have work experience, then for those assignments, you have to make it up. You have to make up, you have to like not make it as in like you have to pretend as if you did
Yeah, create
and then,
create the situation, right?
right? But the second reason why is because a lot of times when you're working, your company can help pay for your schooling, which is why,
Really?
yes.
Yeah.
So like for me, like when I was in my previous company,
Yes.
worked there for a little bit of time and then was given an opportunity
Mhm.
to study online for my Master's of Business Administration, or my MBA.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
So
That's
my
good.
company actually helped pay for like half my tuition. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna take that opportunity, because it's not like every day that your company is gonna pay even anything, right? So it's like, well, I'm gonna study and work at the same time.
So you graduated university, and after you graduated university, you joined your company first.
Well, I worked for a different bunch of places, and I ended up at this my previous workplace. So it's the job that I had before this, my current one. So it was about 2010, or actually 2012, when when they had the offering for paying people's tuition. So I took that opportunity, and so in 2012 I started to study for my MBA, studied it for a couple years, and then graduated.
Wow.
Then
And
between
they basically
yours,
paid for half my tuition.
you joined the master studying
Yep.
at the graduated school 2 year,
Yes.
Wow.
and then that time at the moment you can't work anything.
Well, technically
You
I
don't
was
need to go
so technically
workplace.
I was working while studying. So
It's like a dream.
so that, I mean, studying wise, it was really rough, because I didn't have much time for myself, but it was worth the sacrifice, because you know, by cramming everything in, then like I had time afterwards. But also too, I didn't really have much going on with my life. This was a good time just for me to study while working.
Yes.
Like other than that, like I was going out and hanging out with friends, so it's not like I was trying to do anything else. So it's just like, okay, like this was a good opportunity just to add to my career development, and it paid off because I was able to get a degree, which then helped me to get the current job that I have right now.
But I think it's very, very difficult, because just only graduated university.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, this is my lunchtime, so I must I must
yes. Sorry. See you soon.
Yeah, see you next week.
Next week. Thank you.
Yep.
So it's very difficult, because our knowledge is less year by year. That's why. So once I graduated and joined some company, and maybe 1 or 2 years later, you join the graduate school. It's correct?
Well, it depends on how people go about it, right? Because for me, like, I was working at a bunch of different companies. So
Yes.
so I graduated with my bachelor's in 2004. And then when I started to study for my master's, it was almost 10 years later.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I think
But then other
I respect
pe-
you.
like other people, maybe it doesn't take that much time, but for me, it's just because I was bouncing around from different types of jobs. Eventually, ended up in my previous company, which I've
Mhm.
been in for like 16 years.
Mhm.
But throughout that time, like I was doing a hodgepodge of a different type of
Mhm.
experiences and work.
Mhm.
So technically on my resume, it will say things like I have like 3 to 5 years experience with this, 3 to 5 years experience in a variety of things, right? So when I apply for my current company,
Mhm.
apply for different types of jobs where I literally I meet the qualification because they're literally for 3 to 5 years of all these type of job positions. So
Ah.
for me, like because like I was able to use that as kind of like a big net to try to apply for a different variety of jobs, and whatever was able to catch, I was able to, get in. From there, because I have those experiences, I could still jump around within the company if I so please, because that's my way of job security.
Wow.
But then throughout that whole time, like finding that opportunity for graduate level education, I worked while going to school. I have other friends where for them, they quit their job, then they focus solely on studying and then get out there to get a job. So you could do it either way, but ideally for me, it was better for me to stay with the job because they can pay for me while I'm studying. Because otherwise, if I quit the job, they can't pay for me anymore because I don't work for them, right? But that's kind of the idea of working for a company because then they can pay for you while you're still working for them.
So I think you are very smart. That's why it's a rare case. I think so.
It's tough too because you have to work very hard. But if you're willing to, if you have the time and are willing to do it, then it would be a good route to go. Just because why pay yourself when you can have someone pay for you, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And other than that, I think we rounded up to like
Yes.
pretty much of everything for this topic. Although much of this topic dealt with compensation, but I think that is actually rather interesting. I might want to change the name of this topic to compensation. I don't know. We'll have to see. So other than that, I think I mean, this is basically it for the class. So I'm going to call meeting adjourned, and I'll see you guys another time.
Yes.
So take care, and I'll work on editing the video and posting it up on the YouTube.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
Maybe
you.
your lesson happen next month, maybe August.
Oh, usually it takes a weekend and and then I'll have the video posted. So it doesn't take me that long.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you,
Bye
Thank you,
bye. Thank
Daspo.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And then click.
Words collide like fiddles hum, every accent's welcome some. Round the table, dreams are shared, across the world and love is aired. At the International English Cafe, talk your troubles right away, sip your tea, let stories play. At the International English Cafe, we don't need no passport stamp, just a cozy quarter lamp. Face to face we find the way, in a little cafe day after day. Maps and charts might trace the globe, but here we spin our own wardrobe. Patchwork lives with thread we weave, stories told when you believe. At the International English Cafe, words align like fiddles hum. At the International English Cafe, words collide like fiddles hum. Every accent's welcome. Around a table, dreams are shared. Across the world, and love is air. Our love is air. Across the world, and love is air. Across the world, and love is air. English cafe. We don't need no passport stamp, just a cozy corner lamp. Face to face, we find the way in a little cafe, day after day. Maps and charts might trace the globe, but here we spin our own wardrobe. Here's your face, we find the way in a little cafe, day after day after day. Maps and charts might trace the globe, but here we spin our own wardrobe. But here we spin our own wardrobe. But here we spin our own wardrobe. Patchwork little cafe day. Hey, accent charts might trace the globe. We don't need no passport stamp, just a cozy corner lamp. Face to face, we find the way in a little cafe, day after day. Maps and charts might trace the globe, but here we spin our own wardrobe. But here we spin our own wardrobe. Patchwork lives with thread we weave.